Welcome to the 2025 State of the City. It's wonderful to see so many of you here with us this morning. Before we begin, I'd like to acknowledge the leaders who help guide this community each and every day. At this time, I'd like to recognize our Winter Haven City Commissioners. Commissioners, as I call your name, please give us a wave and stand to be recognized. Mayor Nathaniel Birdsong, Jr. Mayor Pro Tem Brian Yates. Commissioner Brad Hansler. And Commissioner Tracy Mercer. Commissioner Cliff Dollison was not able to join us this morning, but he sends his regards. Thank you all for your continued leadership and service to our community. We are also honored to have representatives here from our county, state, and federal partners. I know I saw Representative John Albert and County Commissioner Martha Santiago, but if you're an elected official at any of these levels or staff here to represent them, can you please stand to be recognized as well? Thank you all for your continued partnership, your advocacy, and your commitment to the residents of Winter Haven. I also want to welcome our partners from across the region. These are business leaders, nonprofit organizations, community groups, and residents who invest their time and energy into making Winter Haven a place we can all be proud of. Thank you all for joining us this morning. My name is Katrina Hill. I'm the Director of Public Affairs and Communication for the City of Winter Haven, and it's my privilege to help guide us through this morning's program. Today's State of the City is designed to take us on a clear and meaningful journey. We'll begin with opening remarks, followed by a comprehensive presentation from City Manager T. Michael Stavres, and after that, we'll move into a facilitated Q&A where you'll have the chance to ask questions directly of our leadership team. So before we get started, just a quick note, at your seat, you'll see a QR code. During the presentation, feel free to scan it at any time and submit your questions for the Q&A portion. We're going to be gathering those throughout the morning. Thank you again for being here and your continued engagement with our city. It's now my honor to invite Mayor Pro Tem Brian Yates to lead us in the invocation and pledge allegiance.
Good morning. I'll try to do this as good as Commissioner Reverend Cliff Dollison, but I'll fall short, I'm sure. So bear with me. There we go. All right. Well, good morning. Let's please bow our heads. As we gather here for the Winter Haven State of the City, let us take a moment to pause and center ourselves in gratitude and purpose. We are thankful for this community, for the people who make Winter Haven not just a place on a map, but a home built on care, hard work, and hope. We give thanks for the leaders, public servants, and neighbors who dedicate their time and talents to the common good, and for the shared commitment that keeps our city moving forward. Together, we will write the next chapter of our city's story with hope and heart. May we meet the challenges before us with wisdom and unity. May we see one another with compassion and understanding. And may the vision we shape today bring light, warmth, and opportunity to every corner of Winter Haven. With open hearts, we say thank you. Amen. Well, please rise for the pledge. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd now like to welcome Mayor Birdsong to the stage to give us some opening remarks.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning.
It truly warms my heart to look out and see so many familiar faces. Our commissioners, community partners, business leaders, neighbors, and friends. Thank you for being here. Thank you for caring about your city enough to spend your morning with us. I want to start by acknowledging my fellow commissioners. We're glad to see you here. Their dedication, their steadfast guidance, and their desire to serve the community are felt every single day. I also want to express my deepest appreciation for the many organizations, churches, nonprofits, and local businesses who keep showing up for Winter Haven in ways big and small. And to our city staff, the people who work long hours, who answer the late night calls, who greet residents with a smile. Thank you. You are the heartbeat of the city. For me, the state of the city is more than an annual presentation. It's a moment of reflection, a moment of recognition, not just what we built, but how we built it. And the truth is, the progress we celebrate today comes from a spirit that runs deep in this community. We are rooted in the values that make Winter Haven special: connection, services, and care for one another. But we also are bold enough to imagine what's possible and create enough to bring it to life. The combination of heart and vision is what sets Winter Haven apart. This past year, we've seen tremendous steps forward across our city. Investments in our neighborhoods, our lakes, our parks, our public safety team, and our infrastructure. Projects that have taken years of planning are becoming reality. And though every challenge, we stay focused on building a city where people feel safe, supported, and proud to call Winter Haven home. But what I cherish most is not the ribbon cuttings, it's the collaboration. It's the way our departments work together, the way residents support one another, the businesses invest in our future, and the way the community continues to push forward, even in uncertain times. That unity is our strength. Today is a celebration of that shared effort, of the people who give their time, talent, and heart to make Winter Haven better. And it's also a reminder that our work continues. We still face challenges, but we face them together with honesty, humility, and hope. Now I won't delay the conversations you came here to hear. Our city manager has a thoughtful, comprehensive presentation that reflects the progress of the past year and the path ahead. It is my honor and privilege to introduce a leader who serves the community with steadfastness, compassion, and a deep commitment. Please join me in welcoming our city manager, Mr. T. Michael Stavres.
Good morning.
Good morning.
How's everybody doing today? Warm. It's better than Tuesday, right? This is what Winter Haven's supposed to feel like. So I saw Betsy in here. Thank you for giving us a Chamber of Commerce-like morning to come out. If this goes south at any point, I've looked at Duke Burr. He's going to grab some guitars out of the car. We're just going to play music for the next hour and a half. I do want to extend a special happy birthday to my dear friend B. Hancock, who could do anything on her birthday and wanted to come to the State of the City. So happy birthday, B. And to everybody that's joining us here today, thank you for taking time out of your schedule to learn a little bit more about what's happening in our community. I want to give certainly a great shout out to the 5 elected officials we have here in Winter Haven. I want to give a special point of just honor to Commissioner Brad Dancer. This will be Commissioner Dancer's last State of the City as an elected official, at least during this term, unless we told me if things really get screwed up, he's coming back. So I hope we don't have to screw things up for you to come back. I do want to give a special round of applause to Commissioner Dancer. I was thinking this morning, getting prepared for this, that Winter Haven over the past, really about 15 years or so has been in what I consider a renaissance period. We've accomplished some amazing things, and we've been blessed to have Commissioner Dantzler as part of that guiding team for the past 13 and a half years, and I know that he's still going to stay involved, and we're going to call upon him for all kinds of support along the way. So, Brad, thank you for everything you've done for Winter Haven. My goal this morning is to give you kind of a comprehensive update on what's happened in Winter Haven over the past year. Some of it is the carry forward of projects and initiatives that have gone on for many years, and you'll hear me reference that, as well as give you an idea of some of the challenges that we face going forward. This is an amazing place, as you all know. You call it home, I call it home. It is unlike any place else that I have ever been to. The care, the compassion, the collaboration that happens in Winter Haven is unprecedented, and that's a testament to you all here and somebody that couldn't be with us here today, but it takes the entire community to advance all of the things that we're trying to do, not just from the municipal side, but from everything we're doing. I saw Brad Beatty here with Heart for Winter Haven and the work that they're doing to address homelessness and some of the financial struggles our community has. I see business leaders who are making investments. I see nonprofits that are reaching out to so many different groups. And I see a lot of staff who I can't begin to share my appreciation for what you do every day in some of the most challenging times. When we look at how we do things in Winter Haven, we internally can talk about 13 different departments that provide services. Talk about water department, or the police department, the fire department, whatever it may be. About 4 years ago, we approached the City Commission with a different mindset on that. Let's not talk about how we do things, let's talk about what we do. And with the guidance and support of the City Commission, we advanced our strategic plan, which you all have a copy of on the tables before you. You have the citizen version of that. The full version is available through the city's website. And when we put that together, we looked at what is it we actually do? Where do we have influence in changing people's lives? Our mission statement in Winter Haven is quite simple: enriching lifestyle through exceptional service. What do those services look like? In our case, we identified those 6 strategic pillars. Things like quality of life. Things like, perhaps the most important thing any government agency can do, community safety. We focus on environmental sustainability, helping our community thrive economic sustainability. We focus on infrastructure, our roads, our pipes, our fiber systems. We focus on environmental stewardship. We are the chain of Lake City, but we're so much more than that. And we also focus on what's nearest and dearest to my heart, and that's responsible government. So what my intent this morning is to go through each of those and give you some updates of what we're doing in those areas and what the fine men and women of the Winter Haven workforce are doing in that regard. So I'm going to start off with a little discussion about economic sustainability. This has been a tough year for a lot of people, right? This has been a period where if you're a small business owner or a large business owner, the impact of tariffs and how you accept those additional costs and how you convert that into your sales becomes a challenge. If you're a resident, just everyday Joe citizen or Jane citizen, the impact of things like rising costs in just buying groceries or in procuring services that you need. Economics is very important to make a community strong. So some of the things that are happening within the economic realm here in Winter Haven, let's start off by talking about our CRA, our Community Redevelopment Agency. We have 2 CRA districts, one that serves the downtown area all the way from basically Lake Silver down to Chain of Lakes Park, First Street, or from a little east of First Street all the way down to Lake Howard. We have another one that encompasses the greater area of Florence Villa, and the goal of the CRA is to reinvest dollars to spur more economic growth in those areas. A couple things that were accomplished this year within the CRA. I want to thank Eric Labby and his team. I know I saw Eric here somewhere in the room. He's in the back. And let me point out, all of our staff are on that back row back there. So if you have questions about specific things afterwards, please reach out to them. But in the CRA, we advanced a new grant program this year that focuses on missing middle housing. So not just the single family and those large-scale multifamily projects, but how do we provide grant dollars out to folks that are trying to develop duplexes, triplexes, quadruplexes, on smaller lots. How do we make those things happen? So we were able to advance that project. We've had one individual that's already taken advantage of that. I think they're bringing forward another project to do so. And that's about how do we create some economic sustainability in terms of the housing affordability for some of our residents. The beautification efforts that are underway. Central Park, my goodness, it's never looked more beautiful than it does today. Downtown, you may not notice it just driving by, but I can tell you as I walk through downtown and I see the work that our Parks and Grounds folks are doing to beautify our downtown, to replace all of this landscape that was along the center part of MLK Boulevard this past year. That looks like beautification, but at the end of the day, it is an investment in economics, because when you have a beautiful community, people want to invest their money there. The Central Park looks horrible, and it's dilapidated and trash strewn. Nobody wants to put a business downtown. When you're looking for a place to invest, you eat first with your eyes, right? When you go to a restaurant, you eat first with your eyes. Well, when you're shopping a community, you invest first with your eyes. What does this look like? Is this a place I want to be? So we've done a tremendous amount of work there. We're getting ready to advance a project that seems like it's been years in the making. But that massive pond that we have with FDOT down just south of Avenue C between 5th Street and 4th Street. It's been there since we realigned US 17 over 24 years ago. That's going to be converted to a new park. We have all this residential that's happening downtown. Let's create a new park element down there that creates an aesthetic attraction, but also some functionality. Again, that spurs more economic investment. And the other thing that's underway right now within the CRAs, extremely proud of this one, and I want to thank Eric and Angie and Cedric and the whole team that are working on this, is coming up with a way to better support small business. Last year we launched a program that allows small businesses to participate in online trainings that give them guidance in, I think it's 4 or 5 different themed areas. Big shout out to, I see Glenn and Regina back there. I don't know how many of those classes you guys have taken, but you are, when I talk to Retail Strategies, the company that does that for us, no business has taken more of those classes than Carlton Music right here in Winter Haven. And that sets them up to be able to apply for grant dollars to do smaller initiatives. Maybe it's a new point of sale system or a new marketing strategy or website, but something small to help those small businesses. The CRA team is also working presently, and we hope to be able to present something to the City Commission around the first of the year on a small business investment or enhancement grant program that far exceeds anything we've ever been able to do with our facade grants, that allows them to make greater investments not only in the exterior of their properties, but on the interior properties, and at a dollar amount that is sufficient and significant in accomplishing those goals. So we're excited to be bringing that forward in early 26. We have a number of the staff here this morning from our airport. I would ask for a show of hands of who doesn't know that Winter Haven has a regional airport, but I don't want to put anybody on the spot. But we do have a regional airport that does about 80,000 takeoffs and landings every year. That's a lot of activity, and that is an economic engine. I was out there last week, and there was a massive jet out there. I think it was the Walmart Corporation that had flown into the airport. A lot of big companies, when they're looking to come check on businesses here in Winter Haven or to maybe consider investing here, they come through our airport. So that is a great welcome wagon for us. But they also are making significant investments in the infrastructure at the airport to support new growth. We have a number of flight schools out there that are preparing the next generation that want to go into aviation. We're working closely with the school board for the Central Florida Aerospace Academy. That program is completely filled in Winter Haven Airport, and we are getting to that point where they're considering building the permanent building on site. We also have programs in flight schools that are training those pilots, the aspiring aviators, which again is taking high school age children and getting them prepared to advance a career in aviation. So we're a lot of infrastructure investments out there to support that, but also to spur about new investments at the airport. On the industrial side, incredible things happening. I don't know if Bruce Lyon is in the room. If he is, he's got a lot of things going on, but he can't tell you about any of them. I'll tell you a little bit about it, since I don't see him here. So a couple years ago, Track Properties developed a 1.2 million square foot spec building, purely on speculation. No tenant, no end user. They built this huge building out there. hoping to land somebody into it. I see Jennifer over there. I believe it, and Julie, I believe right now the interior of that building is being built out to accommodate an international company that is going to come in there. I don't know how many jobs they're going to bring to Winter Haven, but it is a significant player on the international front that is going to be located in the ILC. We also have a major local, or I'd say international again, food chain that is building around a 250,000 square foot cold storage building out there right now. And that is such a significant project in the state of Florida. Representative Albert here, thank you for being here today with your staff. Governor came to town not too awful long ago and presented the city of Winter Haven with a $1.5 million check to build a rail spur to support that. That's economic sustainability, that's economic investment that folds in a lot of different properties and players. We're also in the midst of constructing, again, it's always great when you can use local people. Tucker Paving has a contract to build the second leg of Logistics Parkway. It goes straight down through that property and helps workers that are going to jobs in that facility to get in from having other ways than having to come up from Highway 60. So that project is under construction now. Again, significant investment from the state of Florida. At the end of the day, economic sustainability comes in all shapes and sizes. From the 1.2 million square foot spec building to the 2,000 square foot downtown small business. We have to make sure that we have programs that support everything from the big to the small and in between. And that remains a commitment to us. What can you do to help in that economic sustainability effort? Well, the most obvious, shop local. Spend your money local. So excited when I pulled in today. We have Richard's Coffee, and I'm not sure who else participated in our food and beverage, but I happen to see the folks from Richard's Coffee unloading all the food today. We invest locally. When we're doing programs, that food's coming from our local small businesses, and we're grateful for it. You can do the same thing. Instead of driving to Tampa or Orlando, shop in the local stores. Buy your wares here. Support the local businesses, because when they do well, the community thrives. I can't say that any more powerfully. You have some incredible businesses here. Utilize them. If you're doing construction, look to our partners in construction that do amazing work here. I see the Whitehead crew here, and they do a number of projects for us. Tucker Paving, I mentioned. So many engineers that we rely on are local folks. Use them, please. Those dollars, when you spend that dollar here, that dollar is going to change seven times through people's hands in the local economy before it leaves Winter Haven. So if you go to Haven Coffee and buy a cup of coffee, before that $1 or $2 or $3, whatever you spend, before it leaves this Winter Haven MSA area, it has gone into somebody's paycheck. They used it to buy groceries. It went to somebody else's paycheck. They used it to buy gas. They used it for entertainment. It's 7 times before it leaves here, and you guys can all influence that. In the area of quality of life, this is near and dear to me because this is where my career started here in Winter Haven. I mentioned we're in kind of a renaissance period for a while. I go back to 2004, Commissioner Dancer, we built that library downtown, and look what's happened since in 20 years. Amazing things, 21 years now. We have not stopped the momentum in that area. A couple projects that are coming to light. This is what's crazy to me. You have I think a document on your table that talks about some upcoming events. We have had to schedule out ribbon cuttings and new facility dedications over 4 months so that they're not on top of each other, because there's that much new progress coming to fruition in our community. One of the most exciting projects we have is the Winter Haven Recreation and Community Center on MLK Boulevard. That facility was originally built in 1974, so we're over a 50-year-old facility, and it was long due for some improvements. And Julie Adams and Scott Eilers, Andy Palmer, the team that have helped oversee that project is just about done. If you have not been out on MLK Boulevard and seen what is coming out of the ground there, what was once about 17,000 square foot is now well in excess of 35,000 square feet. New gymnasiums, a new branch library, new aquatic facilities, technology labs, a true community center to serve our growing population. That facility, we'll move staff into that at the end of December. and we hope to be able to invite you all to a ribbon cutting there in early February. Just an incredible asset for Winter Haven that will last us for the next, if not 50, 75 years. Chain of Lakes Park. Don't know if you've been to the field house lately, but there are some amazing things happening at Chain of Lakes Park. Yes, it was a sad day when we tore down Chain of Lakes Stadium. If you got a set of those chairs that came out of the stadium, congratulations. I've seen those around town, it's, private properties and the like. But for the past year, we have been redeveloping all those baseball fields. They are in the process right now of wrapping up all of the support facilities with it. Beautiful mural that's being painted down there. I think it's December 5th. I'm looking to my staff. It's either December 3rd. December 3rd. We will dedicate that facility. We look forward to inviting Commissioner Santiago and all the members of the BOCC and the Tourist Development Council who helped make that happen. Thank you. That's collaboration and partnership. That's investing local dollars. And that also, we're not doing that for the recreational piece. Yeah, there's a great recreational piece about that. You know what that tournament does, those tournaments do when they come here? They fill every one of our hotels. They put people in our restaurants. They have people buying things in Winter Haven. Remember how many times that dollar transfers hands before it leaves us? 7. There's a whole lot of money that comes into our community when we bring athletics and tournaments. We just had, Dan Chesnick is in the back somewhere, we just had the theater conference here last week. Dan, how many people do you think came for the conference? 1,000 people?
There were 1,500 students and then 50 or so colleges, so in total probably 2,600.
2,600 people came to Winter Haven, Florida for about 4 or 5 days last week. They stayed in our hotels. They ate in our restaurants. They invested in our community. That's what those facilities do. Lake Elbert Trail. Any fans of Lake Elbert Trail? True story. Where's Bud at? Bud always says that the downtown is a 20-year overnight success. I can beat you. Lake Elbert is a 40-year overnight success. I remember talking to Commissioner Dancer's brother a long time ago, and he was telling me that he started working on plans for Lake Elbert Trail in the 1980s. It's done. People were using it before we got the cones off the road. The road's been improved, the infrastructure's been improved, and we have a beautiful walking trail around our lake that I think is going to be just an icon for Winter Haven for people that want to get out and walk. We're going to dedicate that facility a week from this Saturday. So if you're not doing anything next Saturday morning, come out and join us. I mentioned when we talk about quality of life, it's not just about recreation, it's also about housing. So Nancy and Cedric, who are with our economic team, work heavily on our housing initiatives. Last year, we get money every year from the state of Florida through a program called the State Housing Initiatives Program. And for a long time, Winter Haven carried a significant balance on that. We just couldn't get the money out to the people that needed it. The processes were cumbersome. It wasn't well marketed. Through their efforts and through assistance from Katrina and her team, we blew out close to $2 million in helping people get down payment assistance and doing owner-occupied rehabilitation of homes throughout last year alone. So much so that we had a waiting list of people that want to access those dollars. When we got our first tranche of money from the state, again, thank you, Representative Albert, that money was already completely spoken for. We have people that as soon as we get the dollars, we can turn it right around, we can improve their homes, we can get them down payment assistance, and we can make that American dream of being a homeowner real for people in Winter Haven. That is a significant advancement. And then one of the things that was just approved by the City Commission Monday evening is a new affordable housing project. So we have the opportunity to sponsor a project. It goes through a very competitive process, and our Affordable Housing Advisory Committee helps us with that. They selected a project it's by a local ministry group and also Blue Sky, who did the Florence Place Affordable Housing Project a few years back up on 1st Street North. They have plans and they're applying to the state for tax incentives that will allow them to build a new 80-unit affordable housing facility in southwest Winter Haven. Again, moving that needle to not just help quality of life from a recreation standpoint, but from a housing standpoint. Doesn't matter how good your parks are. If I can't live there, what good does it serve? Expanded trails and walkability. Again, Lake Elbert Trail, sidewalk improvements, all those things allow me to get around my neighborhood, allow me to get around my community. We have an extremely walkable downtown. We're trying to expand that out even further to celebrate that. And then last year, as a result of a strategic momentum session we did, we brought in a number of doctors and physicians. And we asked them, what's the biggest challenge that you face or that you hear from your patients in accessing services in Winter Haven? Is it the services aren't available, that they're not diverse enough? What's the issue? And the number one thing they said was transportation. How do we get them there? So within our CRA, we're going to be advancing a circulator route that travels through our 2 CRAs and through our neighborhoods and help get people that are in need have quicker access through mass transit to shopping, to doctors, to services, to schools, to recreation, to whatever their needs are. So over the next 6 months, we'll be working with Lakeland Area Mass Transit District to roll that out as a new mass transit amenity for our residents. So in terms of quality of life, I think we're doing quite a bit. The facilities that are coming to life, that are coming out of the ground right now, I think of communities that maybe every 20 years get to build a new park. We're going to dedicate 4 major reinvestments, the 4th one being Willowbrook Golf Course. So for all my golfers out here, Willowbrook will reopen next Wednesday. So, and it is in absolutely gorgeous condition. The ability to do those things all at one time is unheard of, and we're so proud of that. Talk about infrastructure for a moment. And I think when infrastructure gets mentioned, everybody thinks about traffic. So MJ reminded me yesterday when we were down here working on this to remind everybody to become a champion of traffic cones. So MJ, I took your advice to heart. I don't know how good my arm is today, but for those that can catch, throw these out there. There's some traffic cones for you. Put them wherever you want. Share them with your friends and neighbors. I keep one on my desk as a reminder that when you see these little orange traffic cones, they're a lot bigger than this when you're driving, by the way. That you can know that someone saw a problem, they planned for it, they budgeted for it, and they're advancing it. And we've seen a lot of improvements in Winter Haven on our local roads in terms of transportation. Brittany Hart and our public works team, this last year, I was amazed when I heard this number. Yes, it's disruptive when we're repaving roads. I'm sorry about that, but it's temporary. Everything's temporary. Last year, in 2025, they put their hands on 36 miles of roads in Winter Haven. 36 miles got either resurfaced, milled out, asphalt rejuvenation. We have a handful of different tools we use to improve our roadways. 36 miles is about 20 to 25% of our total count of local roads. Significant reinvestment in that infrastructure. We maintain an index, we call it the Pavement Condition Index. It tells us how good our roads are. We started doing this back in 2016, 2017 timeframe. Back then, we had about 43% of our roads were in less than satisfactory condition. Today, that's less than 25%. So we are moving that needle to improve our local roads day in, day out. We're going to do another $2 million worth of reinvestment into resurfacing this coming year. That's going to push that percentage of unsatisfactory roads even lower. Many of the roads we deal with in Winter Haven, those that you drove to get here today, are not ours. They're the county's. Thompson Nursery Road, great county project. Again, Mr. Santiago, thank you for the work that the county is doing on that. That is a game changer for the southern part of our community. The state has US 17, Cypress Gardens Boulevard, Dundee Road, Lucerne Park Road. They continue to make investments. We're working closely with the state to make intersection improvements along Cypress Gardens Boulevard, a major investment that we're going to do in partnership with them, and we're happy to do so for the benefit of our residents. Improvements to and an expansion of our trail network. I mentioned Lake Elbert Trail, but we are constantly working to expand trails. That is part of the infrastructure that we rely upon. Whether it's Something like Lake Elbert that helps, that's not just about recreation. That gets people to Polk State College. That gets families with children easier access to places like Denison and Brigham and Winter Haven High School. Those are corridors that people rely upon for transportation infrastructure. Water and wastewater. I see Gary Hubbard in the back. Gary Hubbard is the champion of One Water, not just here in Winter Haven, but across the state, and I'd say recognized across the nation for what we're trying to do in One Water. We are making tremendous improvements in your water systems. Everything from replacing old antiquated pipe systems that are in the ground. Nobody thinks about water, right? Nobody drove down the road today and said, man, I wonder how the pipes are under this road. If you did, I have a job for you, so come see me. But you think about it when you turn on the faucet and nothing comes out. And you think about it when you go to flush a toilet and nothing goes down. That infrastructure is critical. And so much of the infrastructure, not just in Winter Haven, but across the nation. And I see engineers in the room. I see some folks from Pinoni and Jones Edmonds, Carter K. You know that. I mean, that is the issue of America when it comes to infrastructure. Pipes that have been in the ground for 100 years. Winter Haven is well over 100 years old. And I can tell you, we have pipes in the ground that are over 100 years old. It's about reinvesting in those pipes, in those systems to make sure that they have integrity to carry us forward. We're investing well in excess of $200 million into rejuvenation and expansion of our wastewater treatment plant. The facility was built in the 1970s, again, over 50 years old. We're at the point where it needs to be upgraded, and as our community continues to grow, we have to expand capacity on that. If we don't do that, then when you take a shower or you use your sink, that water has nowhere to go. So a tremendous investment and a commitment by the City Commission to advance that type of project. We're doing more data-driven asset management. It's all data now, right? It's all technology. You can't do anything without technology. We're using data inventory tools on everything from a pipe in the ground to the roads, to a swing in a playground, to a park bench, to a trash can, to a stop sign, you name it. If it's an asset, we have data on it that tells us how old is it, what condition is it in, when was the last time one of our employees put eyes or hands on that, so that we can be more strategic in making sure that those things are sustainable. And then the last thing I want to talk about within infrastructure is fiber optics. And I don't know if I saw Hip in here today. Hip is in the back. Hip, I'll tell you, he's the hippest guy in the room. I don't know about that, but I'll tell you, he's one of the smartest people you'll ever meet. I meet with him once a month to go over just these things in IT, and when I'm done, I need a couch like that to lay down because my mind is just hurting. But the fiber optic network within our community, those of you that are in business know that communication is the key. We learned that during COVID. If you don't have strong communication, it doesn't matter how good your roads or your water is. If I can't communicate with my customers, I'm dead in the water. HIP's been working for 23 years now to build that fiber optic network. That is expanding every single year. We're just at about the point where all of our city facilities are connected by fiber to communicate. We're getting connections out to Florida Poly. We're getting connections with our county partners in other cities so that we have fiber optic communications to all of our schools, to the sheriff's office, to DOT, to all of these things that have to work together. And they're resilient and they're sustainable so that when we have a hurricane or we have a storm or we have a natural disaster, we don't lose that. We're able to maintain our progress and our services. So don't take for granted what's happening in infrastructure. Just because you don't see it doesn't mean that it's not happening. And be that champion of the traffic cone. When you're stuck in traffic and you see a cone, recognize that the solution is in process, that it's been invested in something that's getting done there. Environmental stewardship. So this is the Chain of Lake City. It's the most beautiful place you're going to find in Florida, no doubt about it. Our lakes are our crown jewels within this community, and we have to do everything to protect it. Over the past, I'll say 3 years now, the city has acquired over 500 acres of land simply for the efforts of restoration, preservation, and long-term water sustainability. About 2 years ago, Gary, I think 2 or 3 years ago, we bought the Bradco Farms property. 370 acres of land bordered by basically Dundee Road and Buckeye Loop Road. That's for us to develop a water sustainability project where we're going to recharge historic wetlands out there, allow that water to percolate back down through the system. We'll do some injection wells there as well. But that helps ensure our long-term water sustainability. Because when we pull water out of the ground, it directly affects our lakes. And we have to make sure that we're not doing anything that creates harm to those assets. In the coming weeks, we'll close on another purchase of property, about 150 plus acres, north on US 17. If you head towards Lake Alfred, you get across that canal bridge, you've got the trail on one side of you, past Brigham Road on the other side, you're going to see a huge forested area. About 154 acres, MJ, that we are acquiring in partnership with Polk County and with the state of Florida to create another nature preserve area out there. These are lands that could easily be acquired by developers and converted into houses or commercial development. They are environmentally sensitive lands. They can do that development and mitigate for those impacts by investing in wetland or mitigation banks in other communities, other counties. That does no good for us. We've taken the leadership role. The commission has to say, we need to preserve that. We need to acquire that. We need to make that investment for the long-term sustainability of our community. In addition to that, Martha, I got to give your team a huge shout out because I don't know if you guys are aware of this. We don't do anything in a vacuum. We don't walk this path alone. We walk it with our other jurisdictions, with you all as the community, as the businesses, as the nonprofits. The county has acquired, I want to say it's around 150 acres on the south side of Lake Lulu that is environmentally sensitive land. It butts up to, I think, another 40 or so acres of our own property that we're working with them to how do we activate that for recreation and nature preserve. The county also, in the past, I think probably 2 years, has acquired about 1,400 acres of land east of the State Farm Regional Headquarters along Cypress Gardens Boulevard and US 27 and on the opposite side of US 27 for environmental preservation as well. We're recognizing what those needs are, and collectively there's a lot of investment happening in our community. Stormwater improvements. Everything that you see go down a drain ultimately ends up in one of our lakes. So projects like the Lake Conai Nature Park. I don't know if you've driven up Lucerne Park Road. What a phenomenal site that is. Beautiful walking trail out there, docks up on Lake Conai, there's a playground, there's parking, and it's a great recreational asset. You'll see birds out there you're not going to see anywhere else in Winter Haven unless you're on a lake, but it has become a waterfowl destination. More importantly, it treats a watershed area of over 400 acres. All the roads that are around there to the south and to the east, all that water that comes off the roads flows through stormwater systems, hits the cells within that park, gets treated there through natural systems before it makes its way into the chain. That's recreation. That's water quality, that's environmental stewardship. We're checking so many boxes with that. We're also doing an expansion of Lake Howard Nature Park, our very first nature park here in Winter Haven. With the help of the state and a number of grants that we've gotten there, we're working with Whitehead Construction to do an expansion of that park that will expand the trails, the stormwater treatment, the recreational amenities there. Again, part of our environmental stewardship. I mentioned data. When it comes to assets, one of the things we're doing with data is we're also using GIS, Geographical Information Systems, and LiDAR technologies to map our community and identify what the low-lying areas are so that we can run models, simulations, that if we have a rain event, a 100-year rain event, a 500-year rain event, a massive hurricane, whatever it may be, that will allow us to see with how much rainfall do we have flooding in certain areas. And how long will it take for that to dissipate? That allows us to make informed decisions about the stormwater in those areas and to prevent flooding that can create more environmental problems. Happy to announce we're getting ready to launch a program with Keep Polk County Beautiful. We work both with Keep Polk County and Keep Winter Haven Clean and Beautiful nonprofits. Our Public Works team has worked with Polk County to bring to Winter Haven the Adopt a Road program. So if you have a nonprofit, an HOA, a civic organization, just a business, and you see a road that collects trash and litter, you can adopt that. It'll be branded specifically for Winter Haven, but our goal is to get people out to help us maintain these beautiful spaces. Every piece of trash that ends up on the ground is going to end up in a water body or somewhere in our environmentally sensitive lands. So whatever we can do to help address that with your assistance is critical. We're also doing the same thing for parks. So we're going to be launching an Adopt a Green Space program. Out of the corner of my eye, I'm catching Jane West over here, who I know is a tremendous advocate for Interlaken Park. We'll have a program that the Interlaken Homeowners Association can get involved and help us make that the best that it can possibly be. Maybe you live near Rotary Park, or Lake Howard Nature Park, or any of those. Maybe you're a downtown business and you just want to help keep trash out of the planter beds. How hard is that? Because every piece of plastic, every wrapper, every bottle that ends up in one of those beds, when the wind comes through like it did Tuesday morning and blows it into a road and it hits a storm drain, it's going to end up in Lake Howard. And that's not good for anybody. And then the last piece within this that I want to talk about was our Urban Forestry Advisory Committee and our Urban Forestry initiatives. Again, kudos to Commissioner Dantzler. I think we're up to somewhere around 3 million trees that we're going to try and plant. Now, the number grows every time I talk to him, and it's really not that high. We can't do that. But we are making significant investments not only in planting new trees, but making sure the urban forest that you all have come to appreciate is well maintained and healthy. That's pruning, that's removal of diseased and dead trees. That's diversifying the species that we put in the ground. It's when we take a tree out, replace it with 2. Okay? Those types of things are very significant for us. That is what makes a community beautiful. That's what you see when you drive. Go look at Central Park. When you leave here, just drive by Central Park. Stop for a minute and picture what it would look like if it had 0 trees in it. It's horrible. If we don't have a strong urban forest, we are nothing but asphalt, sidewalks, and rooftops. We have to have those trees, not only for the beauty of our community, but the health of the environment and the health of our population. So, very proud of the work that is happening within our environmental stewardship area. I'd be remiss if I didn't give thanks to, again, members of the Urban Forestry Advisory Committee. I did see Zach Strang here. He's a member of that, and maybe others that are in the room. Our Lakes Advisory Committee. If you haven't ever checked out the city's lakes, annual lakes report, it is probably one of the finest documents in local government I've ever come across. It is produced by people that work for the city. It's not consultants. No offense to my consultants in the room, but the staff that put that together. Other cities look at that and just the jaw drops. It is an amazing, amazing document that guides how we take care of our lakes. What is my call to action on this in terms of environmental stewardship? It's pretty simple. Join a cleanup. Get involved. If you see pollution, if you see illegal dumping, report it to us. Let us be responsive to that as you help us be aware of it. Make those small changes at home. There are things that we can do at home that help the environment. A couple quick ones for you. You wash your car in your driveway, park it in your grass instead. Let that water that's coming off of that soak into the ground, not run down a driveway into a road and then ultimately to a lake. Check your irrigation. I don't care how often you water the road, it's not going to grow. Okay? If we could grow roads by putting water on them, I'd have a water truck out there every day. It doesn't work that way. Make sure you're doing that. When you brush your teeth in the morning, turn the faucet off. You'd be amazed how much water you waste by just letting the faucet run while you make your smile a little brighter. Simple things like that. Recycle. I'm going to speak on behalf of my solid waste employees for a minute. Pet peeve. Bag your friggin' garbage. Please. Loose garbage in garbage cans. Every time that truck picks it up on a windy day, trash blows out, ends up in a storm drain, ends up in a lake. Bag your garbage before you put it in that tote and take it to the end of the driveway. That's the simplest thing. Please do those. Okay, community safety. We have an amazing community safety team. Proud to see with us this morning a number of our officers, firefighters. We have a brand new fire marshal, Jeremiah Perez. Good morning. Welcome to your first day of the city. We have a brand new deputy police chief, Greg Lorick, in the back. Long career in law enforcement. So happy to have you join our team. Chief Monroe, Chief Newbrand with our fire department, Deputy Chief Waters. These men and women, and Tanya Ayers is back there somewhere, who does our safe neighborhoods, do so much to protect our community. This is kind of one of those wow moments. Winter Haven's crime rate is at 1.714 per 1,000 people. That is the lowest it has ever been. That is a testament to the leadership and the work Vance and Greg and the fine men and women, the fire department and all their responsiveness that they have, safe neighborhoods, all those things work together to bring crime down. City Commission has made tremendous investments in public safety. This year we added 3 additional police officers. Last year we added 6, so in 2 years we've added 9 members to our force. That's allowed us to do strategic response units. In the coming weeks, if you happen to go to Home Depot, Lowe's, Walmart, don't be surprised if you see some of our officers in uniform walking around inside the store. And we now have resources that allow us to do that. That fends off crime. They have bike units. They're doing neighborhood initiatives and programs. We just did 3 National Night Out programs where we're going out and meeting the community on blue sky days, not on gray sky days. We're building bridges before it rains. We're creating relationships before there's a call for service. In the fire department, Drew wasn't here 6 months and he got to put the finishing touches on a brand new Fire Station 4 out by the Diamondplex complex just north of Polk State College. Phenomenal facility. It also houses Tanya and our Safe Neighborhoods team. No sooner had we opened the doors and rang the bell on that station, we were accepting the guaranteed maximum price to build Fire Station number 5 next to Lake Hartridge Nature Park. We're already looking, and that facility is going to open probably, I'm not going to put the contractor on the spot here, but I would say hopefully late 2026, early 2027, that we will open up that 5th fire station. We're already trying to figure out where number 6 is going to go. Because as the community grows, we're going to have to expand those services. City Commission just approved a couple weeks ago about $1.7 million in new police cars to make sure that we can get to the crimes and to the scenes as quickly and as efficiently and as safely as possible. About 6 months ago, they made the investment of over $2 million in 2 new fire trucks that will arrive in Florida next week and be put into service hopefully shortly thereafter once they get completely outfitted. Those are significant investments. 4 new firefighters will join our team this fiscal year as well. Community safety isn't just about police, fire, and code compliance and safe neighborhoods, though. It's also about water. I know I've got a number of water employees that are in the room. I don't know if you know this or not, but your water gets tested so frequently, it's baffling. There's 90 collection points within our water system that our staff go out and they sample every one of those 4 times every month. And they have to submit those to an outside laboratory and then file those reports with the state of Florida to make sure what's coming out of your tap is safe and clean and appropriate for the uses that we have for it. That is all about community safety, because if that's not there, who knows what's in the water? A couple of years ago, the EPA at the federal level said every water system across this country has to go out and test your system, do an inventory to find out if you have any lead components in your water system. Flashback, Flint, Michigan. Remember what the issues were with lead? So EPA responded to that and said you have to go inventory everything in your system. I don't know how many hundreds or thousands of miles of pipe we have in the ground, but that's a lot. So we started that inventory last year. We just completed our second year's report. We go out, we identify where properties that were built before 1989 could have had some lead component, maybe a fitting or something in there. And as we find those, we change them right then. We're inventorying the entire water system, as is every other water provider, every other water utility across the nation. I believe the requirement is that you have that completed by 2037. And Gary, if I'm not mistaken, our intent is that we're going to have that completed sometime in 2032. We will have completed that entire effort.
Right.
That is about safeguarding our neighbors, our citizens in our neighborhoods. The other thing that comes to mind when we talk about safety is all those other things that we do. I don't have the exact number of how many kids that we taught to swim this summer. Well in excess of 1,500 students, kids, that we're teaching how to be safe around water. Remember that Winter Haven Recreation and Cultural Center project I mentioned? We're building a brand new pool there. I don't know if anybody's ever swam at the wreck, but you know it was a very deep pool, and it was very scary, particularly when you're this tall. Well, the commission and their investment in that allowed for a new pool that has a zero entry that allows us to introduce young children to a wet environment in the safest, most comfortable way. A splash pad out there that, again, allows them to approach a wet environment in a safe way. There's 50 lakes in Winter Haven that touch or are within our city limits. Drowning amongst children remains the #1 accidental cause of death. And we have all this water. We have to be doing things to take care of that. Lighting audits of our roads, inspections of our walkways, our sidewalks. I thank our streets department. I noticed this morning cones across the street where there's a little unevenness in the sidewalk. Why do they do that? So when you're walking somewhere tomorrow night at Main Street's Wine, Chocolate, and Cheese, you don't stumble across a bad spot in the sidewalk. They're looking for those things and they're being responsive to them. You can help us with that. You have I think a QR code for Access Winter Haven. Add that app to your phone. If you see something that doesn't look right, a pothole in the road, a broken swing, a busted up sidewalk, a traffic light that's doing something funny, it doesn't matter what it is, if it's ours, you can take a picture of it, submit that to us, and instantly it creates a work order that gets to the crew that needs to go out and do that. We've had that in place for a number of years. I'm surprised not as many people take advantage of it, but I would ask that all of you consider doing so. Also sign up for our police and public safety app that pushes out alerts when roads are closed, when there's emergencies in the community that keep you informed about what's happening. Call to action for that. Sign up for the emergency alerts. Build a family plan. We have about 2 weeks to go, folks. Hurricane season will be over. We dodged a bullet this year, right? Other places weren't so fortunate. Think about the folks that are in Jamaica that have billions and billions of dollars of destruction. That's a storm that, because of weather patterns, chose that path. Could have quite easily chosen a path that impacted us. It's one of the strongest hurricanes on record. We didn't have one this year, but we may next year. Have a plan. Don't wait for a gray sky day. Do it on a blue sky day. And above all, look out for your neighbors. Look out for the people in your workforce. Look out for the people you come across in your places of worship. Build relations and pay attention to what's going on in their worlds. Check on them. Hey, I haven't seen Mrs. Smith in church lately. Has anybody heard from her? Check on her. Those are so important, and that helps us. You'd be amazed how many times we find people in crisis because somebody cared enough to say, I haven't seen so-and-so. Let me call the fire department or the police department or somebody that maybe can figure out what's going on there. True story. We had a situation just recently where a local resident had concerns about a loved one in another state. And they called our police department. And our police department was able to make contact with the agency in that other state to get a wellness check done. They found an individual that if they hadn't done that, if they hadn't made that effort, probably within the hour that person will do parallel. That's about people looking out for other people. Please do that. Last area I want to talk about is responsible government. I mentioned that this is nearest and dearest to me because this is what I think my call is with this organization. Responsible government to me is about being accessible, being transparent, being responsive to what your needs are and the rest of our 61,000 residents that call Winter Haven home. I like to think that Winter Haven is one of the most transparent and accessible governments you're going to find anywhere in the country. You're here today because we're doing a State of the City address. Why do we do that? Because I want to tell you what's going on. I want you to be in the know. It doesn't happen in every community. I'm not saying that to be braggadocious or arrogant in any way. I'm simply saying it's the right thing to do. Some of the things that we've launched this year to help us be more transparent with you. Well, first of all, you have our strategic plan. I always say that's my contract with you. That's my commitment. Those are the things that we are going to do. And if you see we're not doing that, call me on it. I'm responsible for that. They approved it. They said, go get it done. It's up to me to have all these men and women work for the city get it done. This year, in addition to continuing to push our strategic plan, we launched a program called Open Gov. This is all about budgeting. It's a tool that helps us budget more efficiently, but more so, it's a tool that allows us to communicate more effectively to all of you how we budget and what's in that budget. If you were to go to the city website right now, you can find a link right there on the home page that says the city budget, and you can search every single department's budget and see exactly where they're spending the money and for what purposes. Completely searchable in any format you want. We're going to use that to also build dashboards that we'll push out as communication tools, but you have access to the same budget information that the city workforce has. At your fingertips, you can open it on your phone, on your iPad, on your tablet, whatever device you want to use, completely accessible and transparent. Budget and brief. We started this a couple of years ago. We'll release a new budget and brief probably in about 2 weeks. We'll make that available every place we go. It takes that 500-page budget and draws it down to about 4 pages. It makes it much more consumable and understandable. One more way that we're trying to tell you how your taxpayer dollars get spent, where those investments are made, and encourage you to have a voice in that. City University. So ask these people to stand. If you are a graduate of City U, would you mind standing for me? There's a couple in here, I know. So these folks, some staff, some citizens, we've now had 104 people graduate from City U. So thank you to you all and to the other 90 plus for showing enough interest to participate in City U. For those of you who don't know what City U is, this is my advertisement. This is an 8-week program. It means 8 consecutive weeks. Every Tuesday night for about 2 hours, you get an in-depth, behind-the-scenes exposure to everything we're doing in Winter Haven. From the airport, to the cemeteries, the library, to the water plants, the wastewater plants, everything in between, you get that exposure to see how your local government works. 104 people have gone through that through 4 different cohorts. We've done 4 years of this. We'll do signups for that again probably in late June, early July. We take about 25 to 30 people. It is a hot ticket. It is an application process, and unfortunately we end up having to turn away as many people, if not more, than we take, because so many people want to participate in that. If you're interested in it, talk to Katrina, talk to the staff, talk to the people that graduated. I think they're going to tell you it was an extremely informative program for them. We do that to educate the community and to build ambassadors. I tell every one of the graduates in that program, your job now, get on a city board, an advisory committee, run for city commission, get on the planning commission, but above all, be an ambassador and an advocate for what's happening in your community, because you know the truth when other people are speaking the mistruths. That is all I ask of you. Be educated, be informed. We struggle in local government to retain and recruit, attract new employees. This is a tough job. It's a very unforgiving job. I'm not asking for sympathy or empathy. I'm going to quite simply say that rarely do you hear people say a good thing about government employees, right? Everybody's got a complaint somewhere about the DMV, you know, that police officer that pulled me over because I was doing 70 and a 35. You know, that construction crew that there's 5 guys standing around the hole and there's 1 guy in the hole. You know why there's 1 guy in the hole? There's only 1 guy can fit in the hole. Right? So when it comes to recruiting, we have to be fair in our compensation. I'm very proud that we have continued to work to move that needle. We're not the highest paying jobs in the community, folks. I'm going to be first to tell you. But the commission in their infinite wisdom looked at a huge study we did this last year. We were able to make some adjustments to our rates of pay to keep long tenured employees and new employees with us. Because when you have that constant turnover, the efficiency and effectiveness of our services would way down. We're competing against every other city, the county, and every one of you in trying to get those employees. If somebody has a chance to come hold a shovel and dig a ditch with us for $16 an hour, or go be a barista at the local coffee shop for $16 an hour, which one sounds more attractive? Right? We're going to give you a nice vest, maybe a hard hat. They're going to give you a fancy apron that has your nickname on it. It's hard to compete against that, so we have to recruit. We're doing more with live streaming and advertisement of what we have going on. So we're going to launch a whole new live streaming platform over the next several months that will make access to our city commission meetings even easier for you. It will be a searchable recording that you can go back to, and you're saying, hey, when did they talk about this ordinance or that resolution or this project? You'll be able to search it by that. So again, it puts the information at your fingertips. Has anybody seen the community calendar yet? A couple of you? Go to the city website at some point in the next day or so and look for the community calendar. This is a project we launched about 2 months ago. We were I think the first agency in the state of Florida to launch this. There are now, I think, 3 in Florida that are using this platform. We use it to promote what's happening on our side. City commission meetings, ribbon cuttings, special events. But it's also available to every nonprofit, every church that's out there that's doing the big event this weekend. They can submit their events, their programs, and it populates into this community calendar. So if you're wondering what to do this weekend, you pull up community calendar and look to Saturday, you're going to see our events. You're going to see Cypress Gardens water ski. You'll see if the chamber's doing something. You'll see if the church or civic organization, an HOA is having that massive garage sale that everybody goes to. Those things are populated on there. It has become a one-stop shop to know what's happening in Winter Haven. Why do we do that? Because we want the community to be informed and aware of what's happening. The last thing I want to do is introduce you to Miss Jackie Vickers. Jackie, can you stand up and just give a queen-like wave? So Jackie just started with us. She started the same day as Jeremiah did, Monday. You guys are brilliant. Start on Monday, you had a holiday on Tuesday. It was Veterans Day. Very strategic. But Jackie has joined our team in a brand new position. This is our community engagement manager. So Jackie's job with us is to make connections in the community. Have a connection with every church, every civic organization, every HOA, every neighborhood group, the business community, to be our conduit, to help us get our message out to those individuals, and to also go out and meet with those individuals and gather insights and concerns and desires and help bring that back to us. 61,000 people spread across this 42 square mile community. That's a big population in a big space. We have a whole lot of new people that are coming into Winter Haven. Go out 653 out by Chain Lakes Elementary and South Point Elementary. Tons of new houses out there and people that are coming to Winter Haven that we may have not known for the past 20, 30, 40, 50 years. We need to know them. We want to know them. We want them to know us. That's Jackie's job. So if you have a civic organization or a church and you want to make a connection with her, please do so today. You're going to see a lot of her in our community, building those relationships to help us with our communication. So here's my call to action on this for you all. This isn't just about me talking today. You all have a homework assignment when you leave. Explore the annual budget. And I'm going to talk more about that in just a minute. Subscribe to our agendas for the City Commission and look at them. See what's going on. Don't wait to read about it in the newspaper. And please, do not wait to read about it on social media. Because if that social media didn't come from us, don't believe it. If you want the truth, if you want the facts, come to the city and let us give you those. There's a whole lot of misinformation that gets put out there. Come to a city commission meeting. 5 commissioners, they love to see you. They see me all the time. They're probably sick of looking at me and MJ and John Murphy, Vanessa, and the rest of the staff. They like to see you. They like to hear from you. They need to hear from you. I consider it a testament to the trust that the community puts in the elected body that we don't have a whole lot of people there. And we're grateful for that. We do a budget meeting. No one comes out to the budget meeting. Maybe because they're getting the information through some other source, or maybe because they have faith and trust in our elected body. Maybe because we're doing a good job in other venues to get that word out. We still want you there. We still want to hear from you. So please come and advocate at the state level and at the federal level to protect funding for community services. I can't say that loud enough. You have to be an advocate for your community. If you're not speaking on behalf of your community, yes, you have an elected body that's doing that, but oftentimes that message is much more powerful coming from you as a citizen. So that's what I'm asking of you. Now, do we have challenges? Yeah, we got challenges. Okay, I'm going to look to you over there, just kind of keep me on time so I don't get too lost here. But probably the biggest challenge we face is me holding on to these papers right now. Growth. Growth, 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 growth. Is that a Winter Haven challenge? Yes. Is it limited to Winter Haven? Absolutely not. You've heard me speak before. You heard me say that at one point we had 100 new residents moving into Polk County every single day. 6 of them were landing in Winter Haven. So we're not the only ones that are experiencing growth. We remain one of the fastest growing areas in the nation. The Lakeland, Winter Haven metropolitan statistical area remains one of the fastest growing areas. With growth, we see impacts on infrastructure, on roads, on water systems, on wastewater systems, on parks, on schools, on all those different things, on businesses, on hospitals and medical care. All those things are impacted by growth. What we have to do is make the wisest decisions to accommodate that growth without sacrificing the services that we provide and without sacrificing the character of our community. Winter Haven is what it is because of its character, because of its reputation, because of you all, the businesses, the people, the leadership. We can't lose that in the process. Jackie's job is to make sure that we're making those connections so that as new cultures and new backgrounds and new stories come into our community, we're considering those things. That's part of managing the impact of growth. I mentioned recruitment and retention. You know how hard it is to hire police officers? You know how hard it is to hire firefighters? I can tell you, hiring water employees and landscapers and traffic personnel is significantly harder than those, and those are a challenge in and of themselves. So make sure that our employees feel cared for, that they're compensated fairly, that they can have a livable wage, that they can remain in our community and not take their talents to other places. That remains a very significant challenge for us. We're competing against every other industry out there for our workforce. And those are the workers that are taking care of that road in front of your house, or the park at the end of the street, or the pipes that are going to and from your house. Professional development is a key thing for us. We invest heavily in professional development for our staff. I want to make sure the people that are showing up at your door are the most well-trained professional staff that you're going to find anywhere. And I think that we have done a very good job of investing in our workforce, and we will continue to do that so long as we have the financial resources to do so. Generational challenge. The workforce today, those of you that are in business, you see this. The workforce today is very different from what it was when many of us came up. The work ethic is different. The expectations are different. You want me to work all 40 hours? Here? Like in person? And I have to be there at what time to start? In some businesses, you can accommodate those needs. When it comes to picking up garbage, it doesn't work that way. When it comes to driving a fire truck, it doesn't work that way. The generations that are coming forward are looking for greater technology and those tools in their work, and we're striving hard to incorporate those. But it's that work ethic and that public service motivation. I'm not going to pay you the absolute highest that you can make someplace else, but I'm going to give you a chance to make an impact on your community that intrinsically has to be a big drive for you. The workforce that's here today, without question, some of the most dedicated people I've ever had the pleasure of working with. They show up every day. They show up on days off. They're everywhere all the time because they care about the impact that they're having. I look out there and I think, I know what challenges they're facing that would make a lot of people tuck tail and a lot and say, I'm not dealing with this crap anymore, yet they continue to show up. We've got to instill that in this new generation. The last thing I'm going to talk about is on the legislative front. So this is, make sure I don't cough through this. This is one of the biggest challenges that we face. Right now, and I'm in an apolitical position, and we are a nonpartisan elected body here. And my intent with telling you these things, I'm not trying to sway you one way or the other on items that may come before the legislature. My goal is to educate you. Because if you're not educated, you're not in the game. You're not making sound decisions. One of the challenges, and I got to give credit to, again, Representative Albert, and I thank you for your service that you're doing in Tallahassee for our community. I had the pleasure of hearing and testifying before your House Select Committee on property tax 2 months ago, back in late September. Representative Albert was one of the members of the House appointed to a committee that's looking at how do we address this issue of property tax. That is a major effort of the governor of the state of Florida. Certainly it is also a major priority of House Speaker Danny Perez. But the question is, how do you do that? And they're still trying to work through that. But what I want you all to know as businesses and residents is how property tax truly works in Winter Haven, Florida. Our local government has about a $250 million budget. $80 million of that is what we call the general fund. That pays for police, fire, parks, streets, planning, code compliance, general government, those things that are not business operations, like water or solid waste. Those are separate. You pay a fee for those services. General government is about $80 million. Property tax in Winter Haven generates $31 million. 31 of the $80 million comes from property tax. Police and fire cost $34 million. So the property tax that we bring in does not fully cover the cost of what police and fire expenses are. When we look at a potential reduction in property tax, and there's a number of different thoughts and concepts on what this looks like. Back in October, House Speaker Perez issued out a memo, and again, I'm just going to call you John, no disrespect, but that's how I know you. Coming from local government, I think you get it. One of the proposals within there was yours, and it was by far the least invasive, the least impactful, in that, if I remember correctly, it was about allowing combined portability of our Save Our Homes savings a couple gets married, they can combine their portability, which helps newly married couples buy a home. That's good. It also requires the public to have a voice in any millage increases. That's how it's supposed to work. Other proposals that have been out there speak to reducing, completely eliminating homestead ad valorem property tax. In Winter Haven, that amounts to $10.5 million. If something like that were to happen, and there's no plan to replace it with other revenue, which there's not at present time, that means that these 5 individuals that serve you have to figure out, or perhaps I have to figure out and share with them, how do I cut $10.5 million out of that $80 million budget? What do we no longer do? Do we not take care of the parks? Do we not pave the roads? I can't touch law enforcement based upon the proposals that were given. So they're kind of safe. But maybe I don't have as much service in fire or in code or in other services that we provide. I don't know what that looks like. But that's the gist of it, is that nobody likes paying property tax. I don't like paying taxes. I don't like going and paying sales tax. But the simple fact is that when you pay property taxes, you're paying that based upon the value of your home. And I'll tell you, the average home in Winter Haven, Florida, that is as an ad valorem homesteaded property pays about $850 a year in property taxes. It's about 70 some odd dollars a month, a little over $2 a day. If you went and bought a cup of coffee today, did you spend more than $2? And what did you get out of that cup of coffee? A little energy boost, some robust flavor, maybe a warm smile from your favorite barista. I can tell you, for that $2 and change that you spent with us today, your parks got mowed, your streets got maintained and swept. The police department and the fire department were at the ready that if you had to call them, they were showing up. And they had gas in the trucks to get there. That's what that money goes towards. Now, why do you pay this property tax? Well, sound like a broken record up here. Anybody ever had to call the police department? If you did, and they showed up at your house, and they took care of whatever the situation was, before they left, did they give you an invoice for the services that they just rendered? Now, if you were speeding, they gave you a ticket, right? But there wasn't a markup for labor on there, I can promise you that. If you've ever had to call the fire department to put out a fire, and they came and they did all that stuff, Drew and Mike, and the whole team shows up, put the fire out, they put the wet stuff on the red stuff, the fire's out, they cleaned up the site, it's safe. They turn around with the iPad and say, okay, you can tap to pay, and there's your, if you want to leave a tip, you can do that. They didn't charge you for that. When you went to the park, was there an attendant that said, you want to get on the swing set? $2. It's not Disney World of the 1970s, it's an e-pass to get on the playground, right? When you came here today and you left your home and you got on a local road, was there a toll booth to collect a fee for the long-term maintenance and structural integrity of that road? There's not. There's no fees that we charge associated with the maintenance of those systems, because we have an ad valorem property tax that allows us to do that. Ad valorem property tax is the most stable. If you're a homesteaded property, your property tax payment year over year can only go up by 3%, or the cost of living, whichever is lower, if you're a homesteaded property. It's predictable, it's stable, and it is the greatest return on investment that you're going to have. I admire the state legislature for trying to address affordability. When it comes to affordability, though, it's not just property tax. It's property insurance, it's mortgage payments and mortgage interest rates, it's utility costs, it's groceries, it's cars and insurance for that, and gas, and all your consumables. All those combined go into the formula of affordability. The one that I can tell you is the most stable and predictable year over year over year, and that has the greatest return on investment is your property tax. And I'm going to tell you, It's the lowest of all those that you pay. I can tell you that my insurance went up significantly on my home this year. Not because I had a fire, just because rates changed. What it cost me for my utilities went up this year because utility rates increased. And I don't have a voice in that. You all, when it comes to property taxes, remember I said read the agendas, come to the commission meetings. 5 individuals that serve you meet twice a month, every month, except for December when they meet once. We have multiple meetings about the budget because we want you to be informed. Winter Haven's property tax rate has remained static for the past 4 years, and prior to that, it was higher and we brought it down. You have a voice in that. You need to be involved in the process. Now, I'm not saying if there's a ballot measure that gets on the ballot for November 26th, I'm not telling you how to vote. I will not do that. But I'm going to tell you, if you go to the polls and you vote on something without knowing what the issue is and how it affects you, you're doing a disservice to you and to every other person in this community. You're not going to go vote for a candidate on a ballot without understanding what their platform is and what they stand for. Make sure that when you see a ballot item that says, oh, we're going to save you $850 this year because you're not going to pay property taxes or whatever the amount may be, stop and ask the question, what comes along with that? Will there be reductions in services? Because I can tell you, if there's not another means to supplement the lost revenue, you can't buy $80 million worth of stuff if you don't have but $70 million. It doesn't work that way. We don't get a frequent shopper card or discount or something like that for fire trucks. It doesn't work that way. So something has to give. So please be informed about that. Please be educated. Ask us. Again, I will never tell you how to vote. I have tremendous respect for John Albert, Representative Albert, and his colleagues that are trying to work through this. It is not an easy issue. And at the end of the day, we have to be mindful that what we sacrifice could be greater, significantly more impactful than what we gain. And keep in mind this, I mentioned our biggest challenge being growth. What it takes to maintain the infrastructure we have today based upon $61,000 is tough. And the deterioration rate is set, you know, how quickly a road deteriorates, how quickly a park, you know, deteriorates, the maintenance needs. If you don't have property taxes, we become a much more attractive state for people to move to. So not only do you have less money to maintain what you have, you're going to have an increased demand on those exact resources that you're providing. And that deterioration rate is going to happen even faster. Because if growth is a concern for you all as it is for us, it's even harder to manage when the floodgates are open and there's this mass push to come to Florida. So with that, that's my soapbox. I just want you to be informed. I want you to be involved. Talk to these folks that you elect. We have another election. That's my last thing for you. We have a runoff election on December 2nd. 2 candidates that are running to replace Commissioner Dantzler. Show up and vote. My prediction, I'm sad to say this, we had 13.7% people that voted in the election in November. 13.7%. Less than 5,000 of the 32,000 registered voters in Winter Haven showed up. That's pathetic. I'm going to make a wager with you. I'm going to bet you that the show up for the December 2nd runoff is below 8%. Why do I say that? Because that's what it's always been. How do we change that? You all. You have a vote, use it, because the people you put in that seat, the person you put in that seat will work with the other 4 to make these decisions and help us navigate the challenges that are ahead of us. So with that, I'm going to shut up. I thank you for listening to me, and I thank
All right, so if you have any more questions, you can still submit them. They'll come to me, so that QR code is in front of you. We'll start with one that the economic pillar in the strategic plan mentions supporting small business. So we also have all seen the construction of a Target coming across from the field house. So how do those two things drive? How do we still support small business even if we're bringing in big chains?
Yeah, I think when it comes to small business, we've got to do more. And if you're a small business owner, share with me, share with Eric and Cedric and Angie and the commission. What are your needs? There are certain things that we can and cannot do when it comes to small business. The CRA has very strict limitations written into statute. I can't pay your rent. I can't pay your utilities. But if I can do something to help market your business, if I can do something to help you make improvements that you've been putting off because you're financially strained, that's what we have to do a better job of. I feel we have not done an adequate job in that arena. I'm really excited about some of the stuff that the team is working on there. And I think that that will help move that needle, but we have got to do more for small business. We've got to help people make investments that are going to be long-term in our community. Target, grateful that they're coming. Next year this time, I hope those doors are open so we can do our Christmas shopping. For those rare things that you can't find in a local boutique shop, remember, shop local, support local businesses. But a lot of good things happen, and we've just got to do more to support local business.
You mentioned the airport. Will the airport ever have domestic flights like Lakeland does?
Likely not, simply because of runway lengths. We are somewhat limited there. That's both the beautiful thing with all these lakes is we have an incredible seaplane base, but the bad side of having all these lakes is your runways can only go so far. But we are making a lot of investment out there. We're seeing a tremendous amount of net jet traffic and the private rentals of planes. And certainly we are, while we may not be in the commercial carrier business, a lot of the work that's happening out there with the aviation schools is preparing the pilots for those aviation services. I did see in the ledger that Lakeland, the Velo Airlines have just opened up, or getting ready to open up, return flights to Atlanta and Detroit on a weekly basis. To have that in our community, and Troy, Heidel, and the airport team work very closely with Bartow and Lakeland airports. So there's a lot of collaboration in there, but I don't know that we'll ever see the domestic, commercial type flights coming out of the airport.
Can you talk a little bit about beautification efforts and keeping up with things like the plant beds throughout downtown?
Sure. Beautification to me, you go to any other city and you walk. I know, Commissioner Nancy, you were just in Austin, Texas. Beautiful, landscaped areas throughout that area. MJ and I were just in downtown Tampa. I was shocked at how beautiful downtown Tampa is along the Riverwalk. And what catches your eyes is all that beautification. What you all can do, and particularly if you're a downtown business person, get involved with us. You want to adopt those planter beds, make them your own? We will provide the materials for you. We'll provide you plants, help us maintain it. One of the biggest challenges for us is we can plant the heck out of stuff. We just don't have the manpower to maintain it once it's in the ground. And when trash gets in there, when people are stomping through it, you'd be amazed how many pieces of glassware I find in planter beds downtown. I walk through downtown once a month with a bucket, trash grabber, pick up trash out of our planter beds and our gutterways. I could probably open my own bar with the number of glasses I find. I don't know how that happens, but help us with that. Simple things.
Do you know if the circulator that you mentioned coming will be a part of an existing route, or will it operate an entirely new route?
So the intent is that will travel through the Florence Villa CRA and down through like the Advent Health Fieldhouse. It'll hit all of our major medical within there. It will, as I recall, and I'm going to look to Eric for a head nod here, I think it does come via the transfer station, the main WUT terminal, so it also gives access to that. But it just runs a continuous loop, throughout the day. It will incorporate some existing bus stops because they're already there and they're known, but it will not necessarily run the same exact route as those. It's going to be a very tight route, probably just north of MLK to as far south as Advent Health Fieldhouse, hit Northgate Shopping Center, the Walmart down on Cypress Gardens Boulevard, all those places and all the medical facilities within.
All right, we're going to do just a couple more, and those of you that left us your contact information, staff will follow up with you shortly. So how does the City Commission and City staff prioritize which projects get funded first?
You want to tackle that one, Mr. Mayor?
Well, which projects get funded first? Well, the short and long of that is the one that's in the most need. That's how they're actually prioritized. And so we're provided the information and we make the decision. And who provides the information? The staff does. So, but ultimately we are able to make, I think, very informed decisions as to how to prioritize. And basically the information that's being provided not only is need, but also financing. So you have to have money to fund projects along with the need.
Yeah, I'd also say that the commission is really strategic in that looking at, okay, we're going to build something. Is there a way to marry up other things with it? So as an example, the Fire Station 4, we knew we needed to house our code compliance safe neighborhoods division. Let's marry that up. Let's get two birds with one stone in doing that type of thing. When we built the Winter Haven Recreation and Cultural Center, we knew we needed a branch library. Can we put that in that building? Yes, we can. In building that, we needed to relocate some other facilities. So nothing happens in a vacuum. When we do streets projects, it may be we're going to tear up a major roadway. We're going to look to Gary and his team and say, what's the infrastructure in that road? Do we need to replace that now? Well, we were planning on doing it in 5 years. Well, guess what? We're going to go ahead and do it now because we only want to open that road one time. So the commission is very strategic in trying to be as efficient and effective in grouping things together.
All right, so we thrive as a community when we all work together, right? So we provided some calls to action today for how you can continue to engage with us when we leave today. But if you had to give one key takeaway from today, what is the number one thing you most want residents to take away and partner with after this presentation?
All these are important. I would say if I could only give you one call to action, and I think I speak for the mayor and the commission on this as well, it's that responsible government. Learn how your city works. If you know how the city works, you have a better understanding of what's happening in quality of life and community safety, infrastructure, environmental stewardship, economic sustainability. All those things come together, but know how your city works. Know how we budget, know where your voice can be heard, be educated on things, be a part of the system. They work for you. You elected them to be in office. I work for them. You're in charge. You get to make the decisions at the end of the day, but if you're not sharing your voice based upon being knowledgeable about it, we miss out. So learn how your city works. City you, city you, city you, city you. I have a feeling at some point we're going to end up having to do like 2 cycles of city you in a year.
I'd just like to add to that. One of the most important things to this community is knowing that you have a very responsive government. I mean, all of the major challenges that face this city, it's up to us as your commissioners to work and solve those issues. It's not done in Tallahassee. It's not done in Washington, D.C. It's done right here in the city of Winter Haven. So being responsible local officials, that's our job. And, you know, we're nonpartisan. If you run over a pothole, it's been said before, you don't care whether it's a Democrat or Republican pothole, it's a pothole, you know. And so that's what we have to do. And so it's been my privilege and my pleasure just to be in this city for over 20 years as an elected official and over, I won't say how many years as a resident.
A few more than 20. A few more than 20.
But it does warm my heart to see all the people out and to support and to see what's going on in your city. Thank you.
Thank you again for being here, and we look forward to continue to engage with you. I hope you have a wonderful afternoon.